But the final thing that we are
Oh, here we
talking
go.
about
We're
in
giving
this What's
yes,
Up?
we're giving She-Hulk credit for doing something different. We're saying haters gonna hate She-Hulk. We don't. What do we think about this? Because yes,
Whew,
Janine, what movie?
Halloween. Halloween Ends. Halloween
Yeah,
Ends came out this past weekend. We watched it.
we did.
We will be giving our spoiler review
I
right
think there'll be.
now.
I think there has to be spoilers. I
There
don't think you
has to.
can
Okay.
talk
So,
about this
so
movie
yes,
without
yes.
it
Yeah. Spoiler review of Halloween Ends. We
coming up
saw the
right now.
movie. Yes. And yeah, I'm somebody who really really loved 2018. It was like The Force Awakens for me, you know. I, you
That's
know,
a strange
I
statement,
just
but
I mean
okay.
in terms of I thought it was a kind of really solid later legacy continuation
It
of
was.
the
I
original
agree.
story. Yes. And so I thought this really kind of led very well off of 78. Um so I enjoyed 2018 thoroughly. Halloween Kills, while it was fun, I had a lot of fun with it in terms of just Michael Myers being this brutal killing thing, and the kills were fun and cool, and Michael Myers was great in it. They did a lot of things wrong that just kind of veered away from what they did in 2018. Just very idiotic characters, wasting characters, um, just some really dumb character choices that just did not fit with, the really solid thing they set up in 2018. So in going to this one, I was very kind of like, "Ugh, what's going to happen?" And this definitely did not fit into what they set up in these first two films. And I would maybe attribute a little bit of that to having to kind of just figure out a new plan in terms of because I think they wanted to film kills and ends all together. But because of the pandemic, they had to kind of halt production and then just figure out a new story that took place years later to get to 2022. Um,
So is that actually what happened? So like the story itself of Halloween Ends had to be changed
yeah,
because
so
of the filming schedule?
yes. So what I things that I have seen, I think they were supposed to be filmed together. So it was this all three films were going to be the same Halloween night, the same 2018 night.
Oh, I see.
Yes, but because they had to do this time jump to get to today's time, because
Oh,
they had
but
to halt
yes.
in 2020,
Okay.
it kind of messed things up with their
I'll
plan.
be honest with you, I just momentarily forgot that Halloween Kills is actually set at the exact same time that
Yes.
Halloween 2018 is.
Yes, which is insane to me because we go into this film literally just 1 year after all of that happened, that Michael Myers killed all these people, that it was all these crazy mobs, and he killed
He comes
essentially
back after
everyone.
40
He
years.
killed basically half the town.
He
And then
killed an
1 year
awful lot of people.
yes, on Halloween night, it was brutal, terrible, awful. He's now just on the run, missing, like, no one has seen him for a whole year. But we're still just celebrating Halloween. We're going to parties, kids are just running around trick or treating, everyone is la di da di da di da. So that just felt very weird that it's just only a year later, and it's not even that he's locked away in asylum. He is just out. He has just
Yeah,
gotten away. No one knows where he is. But because you haven't seen him in a little bit of time,
because this is where this movie opens, isn't it? It opens with that cold open on Halloween 2019.
yes. So,
No, but the
we have a
rest of the
couple.
movie is obviously a couple of years or a few years
So about 4
after
years
that,
later. Yes.
as
So
in the
yeah,
present day now.
yes.
Um,
So it just seemed very weird that like after the events, the insanity of uh 2018 and kills that everyone would just be celebrating Halloween all willy-nilly knowing that he's out there somewhere.
it
And
is very, very strange. And look, I as far as these Halloween movies go, I liked Halloween 2018. I actually did kind of like Halloween Kills. I feel like I saw it when my brain was totally switched off and just kind of rolled with it
yes,
because it
no,
was
like
completely just it was senseless. It made Nothing anybody did made any damn
Any
sense in
sense.
Halloween Kills,
No,
but
it didn't.
I was into it, and I think I was into it because it gave me what I like about the Halloween movies. It was a slasher movie. It was tense. It was brutal in its
Brutal,
kills.
yes.
Michael
I loved
himself
this version of Michael, just ruthless and brutal and gave 0 Fs, like, he just was
Michael
killing everybody.
himself
Yeah.
was great in Halloween Kills. All the legacy
Everyone
cast.
else.
This is a legacy sequel. This is what you expect from a legacy sequel. You expect random legacy cast members to come in. Even I forget the guy's name, but the sheriff who's absurdly old in Halloween Kills from the
Yes,
first
Sheriff
movie.
Brackett.
Yes, Lee Brackett. Thank you
He
for reminding me of his name.
he
Oh
was,
my
like,
god, how old
70.
does he look?
He was, like, 72 or 70 something, and he
He
came
looks
back.
about 92.
Yes.
He doesn't look 72 in that movie. He
No, is he
looks like
70
he's in his
something?
90s. He looks
Yeah,
so old,
yeah,
but
he
they
was, like,
brought him back
76 or something, yeah.
because this is great. This is what legacy sequels have done. They've done this. This is why I think Halloween Kills was a great follow-up from 2018, because 2018 reintroduced Laurie and Michael and all this business, gave you some new characters, and it was essentially, I suppose, Halloween 2018 was essentially the same idea as Halloween 78,
78, and then this one was
just with some
Halloween
people that
2.
know who it is. And yeah,
Yes,
Halloween Kills was an equivalent to Halloween 2. More
where
people
Laurie's
know it,
just in the hospital,
or
just
is in the hospital.
yeah.
You get But you get the mob situation. I really like the mob situation. I think, yes, okay, it beat you over the head a bit with its messaging and its
And the evil died
kind of
tonight,
its ideas.
and
Evil dies tonight, which is my sign today, by the way.
yes,
Evil dies
and
tonight, which I just
just
love
the
as an
but
idea.
then the kind of but then it's like they try to put some kind of moral lesson in there about we're the real monsters because look, we pushed
Well,
this
they
man to
do,
death.
yes.
But then they still are all with the mob mentality. So like it didn't really
Well, no, I
do
think
anything.
no, I think that's almost what I like about it. I think that's what I like about it because it shows the weird mindset of people. Because I feel like, I'm in two minds
Well,
about things
no, I
a hell of a lot of the time. And I think that's what most of the characters in
but I
Halloween Kills were like. They were, yes, evil dies tonight, let's kill him. We don't like him because he's killed people, let's kill him. It's just like, it's completely hypocritical.
yes, and I think it makes sense for this town, what they've been through to kind of be driven to this kind of mentality. But yeah, it's just like they try to throw some lesson in there, but they didn't really learn the lesson. They just continued to do what they were doing. So that all just felt yes, like I think what makes this movie fun for me is Michael Myers. And I can laugh at the very stupid decisions people are making and just kind of write it off as that. But because I really thought this trilogy was going to continue on the way 2018 was in really kind of crafting some really smart storytelling, and then it just kind of was just this free for all kind of thing. It was a bit jarring. So
I
now going
understand.
into
No, I
this one,
understand
I
that.
didn't know what to expect. So I think we need to actually get more into
Of course we do,
this
but
this movie.
I think
Yeah.
we needed to give that
to
context.
lay that groundwork of
We
how we feel
needed
about the other two films before we kind of jump into it. Um
100%, we needed to give that context because I actually think Halloween Kills is a great ending. And I mean an ending. I mean, that should have been like, okay, the guy doesn't die in Halloween Kills. I mean, how Michael doesn't just die in Halloween Kills.
no,
This
they
is
shoot
this is the
him, he gets
absolute
stabbed.
embodiment
Yes.
of Michael Myers, the supernatural force, the not a man, the something bigger than, the that kind of image, because he just keeps getting back up, the dude.
Yeah.
He keeps putting people down. He keeps getting burnt. He keeps getting shot. He keeps getting stabbed, and he keeps getting back up in
Yeah.
Halloween Kills. But I think with the culmination of Halloween Kills, I think that's a good ending. So, in terms of people die, Michael's still left out there, and Michael should still be left out there. I don't think Michael should. We'll get into it because we get into it in this movie.
Yes, I just think it's just
Now,
kind of weird as how terrible this night went that everyone is just kind of back to normal 1 year later.
of course it is, and this is where
It
we
just feels very
start
weird.
off
But this
in
beginning was
ends.
very much very shocking and very kind of like, "Oh my gosh, okay, I'm in." I'm really kind of curious to see where this is going. So yeah, we have our Corey character a year later babysitting on Halloween night. Parents go to this party. He's hanging out with the kid. Of course, a nice little nod to the original film and a nod to John Carpenter. They're
Yes,
watching John Carpenter's The Thing. The
I
kids were
like that.
actually watching The Thing from Another World in the 78.
I did
So
like that.
all of the things. Um, and the kid's kind of being a brat. Corey kind of goes to the kitchen, comes back. Little boy's gone, knife's gone. So now you're kind of like, okay, well, we know Michael's out there. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Has he decided to come back? So you really don't know. So they really play this, and there's no music at all. There's no score. It's just very silent.
Yeah,
Yes. So I kind of really enjoyed. So I kind of let my brain like, okay, whatever. People are celebrating Halloween a year after all this craziness. Like, I don't. Okay, I can put that aside because now I'm kind of intrigued. What's going on here? So I
the thing
liked
is,
that.
this is what this is what you've been told to do from Halloween Kills. You've been told to just basically just go, don't think too much about it. Just roll with it.
This role
Just
is
roll with it,
yes.
right?
And I found myself thinking too hard about it, like, "Oh, this is so stupid." Well,
No, my
after
issue is
all of you people were riled up, so insane that a man died, that all this stuff happened. Chaos in the town because oh my gosh, so dangerous. He's it's on the streets. Oh my gosh. Now he's just running free and everyone's just like, Halloween, yeah.
the problem is I don't even mind that because it at least follows up from the don't think too much about it. Whether
Yes.
you're
Well,
thinking
for
too much about it or
me,
not is completely
but once we got into this
beside the
opening,
point.
I was able to kind of drop that
Okay,
mindset and
that's
get
okay.
into it because I was like, okay, this is really quiet. This is really tense. Oh my gosh, there was a knife on that cutting board. Now it's gone. Where is this kid? We hear sounds upstairs in this crazy high
Oh
twisty
yeah, I don't know what's
stairwell.
going
That
on with
was
this
yes. What
staircase.
yeah, an insane staircase. Like who wants to walk up that and get an elevator for your fancy house? Because I'm not walking up them stairs. So yeah, very great building of tension in that whole beginning scene made me just forget all the kind of like, you know, eye rolly nonsense that I was feeling at the start. Um, only for the kid to kind of lock him in the attic and is messing with him and just crazy what happens.
I mean,
um
it is. I don't know how detailed we want to get because oh my god, we could be here for an hour and a half
I
talking about
know.
Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, and we really, really cannot be.
No, we cannot.
But
But just that
um,
opening was very intense.
I think yeah, I think it was a really good cold open.
Yeah.
We get blasted into the credits, into the opening credits, which are the Season of the Witch
It's text,
font
yeah, font,
rather
yeah, that's
than
great.
the same font we've been. I mean, why it's the Season of the Witch font and not the same font we've been using? I mean, because is it because it's the third new Halloween movie? Is that why?
Maybe. I mean, I was watching 3C Films. He was kind of breaking down his review, and he talked about how he felt like they were kind of calling a nod to Season of the Witch in terms of this kind of being its own thing, doing something very separate from what we've seen before in any of these films. But then you're adding Michael Myers because a lot of the whole thing with three was like people wanted Michael Myers and he wasn't in it. It was this whole weird different
It's
thing.
very true.
So now it's kind of a combination of what 3 was doing, its whole separate thing, but now you're actually bringing in the icon of this series
It
into
is.
it.
It is very true, and that is a very, very fair point because when this Halloween Ends is a totally different movie
Yeah.
to 2018 and Kills. Totally different.
Yes.
Tonally, story wise, completely different. This is where it gets weird for me because we've been told to not think in Halloween Kills and just kind of roll with it. It's fun, it's good. But yeah, and enjoy this kind of craziness that's happening. and then you give us a thoughtful movie,
Yeah,
like a
it's
movie that
the
actually
tones.
wants us
The tones of
to
all three of these films don't feel like connected
no,
in any way.
a movie that wants us to think about Haddonfield as a town, uh, the poisonous nature of evil, the the boogeyman as a figure, not necessarily just Michael Myers, but as just a shadow that
And
looms over
evil being able
Haddonfield.
to kind of but I think they kind of veered off of that into kind of now playing into the idea of evil just manifesting itself in being able to move on and pass along.
Exactly, from
Um,
Michael to
yeah.
other people.
Yes.
Whoever whether Michael personally chooses these people he wants to
Yes,
become the new
or it
him or
is these devil eyes, these,
yeah,
that pass it along,
the
like,
blackest eyes, the
almost
devil's eyes, and all this
yes,
business. You need
like
to have evil eyes. I don't
yes,
know
and
what
so
it
I don't know
is.
if this is a nod of, like, Jamie Lloyd kind of curse, she touches him and it passes to her, and so that was kind of
It
something they
does
were
feel
maybe
like
kind of
that.
invoking in this film. It really hurt a little bit seeing, after kind of, uh, this is only 4 years later and Michael is, like, this kind of old man, like, this frail old
Michael
man.
was an old man anyway
He
in
was an old man.
2018.
He was, but he was still you saw what he was able to do in
Oh
Kills.
yeah,
So, just to see him kinda be this beat up old man, like, he looked
it
like
is.
he needed a walker, like
It is kind of. I mean, he's obviously not played. He's played by the same guy that's played,
yeah.
the Shape in the last two movies. So he's obviously not played by an old man. But Michael
Well, I mean, that
Myers,
guy's in his 60s,
what
who's
the
playing him.
James Jude
Jude
Courtney?
Courtney. Yes.
Is he?
Yes. So he was playing Michael, like, the older
Why did I
Michael,
not
he was
know
in his
that?
yeah, he was in his 60s, and then another actor played him in the flashback that was in Kills, a younger
Oh, I
actor,
see.
the stunt coordinator. So yeah, I mean,
Oh,
he an older
all the facts. I didn't even
yes,
know how
yeah.
old James Jude Courtney was. So
Yeah, I think he was 62 or something like that
okay.
in 2018.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Hmm, fair
he
enough.
they got an older actor to play this older version of Michael.
Okay. All right.
Um, yes. So yeah,
Now,
I mean, 4 years later, yeah, maybe he would be a little bit more, but just to kind of see how that didn't really phase him at all, you know,
well,
that
I mean, no, it didn't. Even though he did obviously look at his lowest. I mean, you liken him to poor Viserys Targaryen in the last
a little
episode of
bit,
House of the Dragon, don't
a
you? Where
little bit, a little
where
bit.
he just looks near death,
Yes.
like completely near death, at death's door, as I like to say
And someone
sometimes.
could just kind of wrestle him to the ground and like,
Yeah,
pretty easily. And he
the
needs kind of this help, you know.
the idea of Halloween Ends, this idea of the poisonous nature of evil, the fact that Haddonfield itself is just consumed by evil, and it just persists there, whether
Yeah.
it is in the form of Michael, whether it is in the form of somebody else, it just persists there, is an interesting idea. It
Yeah.
makes the movie, it makes basically the trilogy of these new movies more about Haddonfield and the people of Haddonfield than any one character, even Michael. It makes
Yeah.
it more
I can see
about
that.
that, which is an
Yeah.
interesting idea, which is a
Yeah.
fairly clever idea. Again, we look back on the opening credits, the fact they used the Season of the Witch, the Halloween 3 font. Is this like you said, is this a mirroring of to
Focus on
make
something different
wanting to
within
focus on
this
something
universe.
different,
Yeah.
wanting to make this a different idea, which is
Yes.
fine. This movie would have been more focused and therefore better if Michael Myers wasn't actually in it, which is a mad thing to say. It's an insane thing to say considering how much I really like Michael in the last two movies.
Yeah. But I mean,
But
I thought it
the
was gonna
way
go
the story this movie takes, the story turn this movie takes, the tone this movie takes, would have made it better if he wasn't actually in the movie. Which is is very, very, very strange.
I mean, I liked having him there. I don't think you could have it without him.
No,
Um,
but and this is what I
had
think.
they
I
kind of
don't
done
think you
things
can.
yes, but had they done things and, like, worked around this idea a little differently, had they executed this idea a little differently, they could have maybe done it without him being there. But, um, I in what they ended up kind of crafting, I think you needed him to fill that out, to add, some extra interest in what was going on with kind of this new character. Um, I thought it was gonna be something kinda completely different. I thought it was gonna be more of, okay, we're going to kind of get Michael his strength back, get Michael his groove back so that he can kinda come back. I thought that was more gonna be what was happening. I don't know if I would have liked that more than what we got. I kinda think, almost like a kind of maybe I thought it was leading towards maybe a bit of a puppet master kind of situation, like.
Yeah, it tries too many things. It tries
Yes,
too many things and
and I think
becomes unfocused.
it feels like it wanted to do something like somebody kind of controlling, puppeting Michael, but they knew that they couldn't do that with
Yeah.
Michael. That wouldn't work with him. So they did this was like the next best thing to kind of do that, but make it feel like, okay, this is plausible for
Oh yeah,
Michael.
then they try and like flip it. Then they maybe throw an idea of our new character, our Corey
Yeah.
character, becoming Michael's underling.
Yes.
It's just like,
Also,
is this a
again,
thing now that happens? Also, why is Michael Myers living in the sewers with the rats?
I know we can't get out of the sewers. We covered those Ben Willard movies.
Why is
It's
Michael Myers living with
literally
Ben?
I mean, Bruce Davison, the actor who played Willard, he pitched a Willard sequel where Willard was just living in the sewers with the
Oh
rats,
no.
controlling them and sending them out to like do his bidding. That's all I could think about when I saw Michael living in the
I
sewers.
can't understand why Michael's living in the sewers. I I
And he's just
can't.
been hiding there for 4 years, and so also that plays
4
into then
years.
then my brain goes back to the my brain turns back on to, like, the logic of, okay, now Laurie's setting up Halloween decorations and baking pies and being all nice and having a home when Michael is out running free, but when he's locked away, that's when you're, like, paranoid and living in your
I
fortress.
mean, right, it makes no logical sense.
Yes. And I
It
mean, you
makes
brought up the tag team thing, just to go back to 3C Films, because he said
oh,
something very hilarious. He was like he was almost like this Batman and Robin situation where
it
Corey was like the Robin to Michael Myers' Batman.
that's not an inaccurate thing to say, which is just it's just stupid.
It's
There's
very
too much
weird.
there's look, there's a stupidity to Halloween Kills. The fact they thought that guy who looks like Danny DeVito's penguin was Michael Myers, all of it, all of it. There was a stupidity to Halloween Kills.
Yes.
But it was a stupidity that you could kind of just switch off and get behind because the movie was fun. There's a
Yeah.
stupidity to this movie that you can't get behind because the movie's not that fun. It's not a slasher movie. It's a thoughtful, weird, kind of half supernatural, half just embodiment of
Yeah, but
evil.
is it? Because you've established that there's no supernatural element
No, I
there.
don't mean I didn't
I know.
necessarily mean
No, no, no.
supernatural.
I know what you're saying, but like there was an essence of supernatural, this kind of passing of the
Yeah,
evil, of infecting, of bringing out that evil into somebody else. And so you're playing with this supernatural, almost like, the Jamie Lloyd kind of curse of
yeah,
touching that you're playing with that, but then you've already established in the previous movie, no, there's nothing
yeah.
supernatural with this
That's not
character.
what's going on.
Yeah.
It it doesn't make sense in the worst way. I don't I have to commend the movie for trying something totally different, totally kind of out
Yes,
of
I
left
definitely
field,
appreciate that. I
and
appreciate them trying to do something new.
having a very new, like you said, very, very new idea. Very, very new idea
Yeah.
of the poisonous nature of evil, the corruptive nature, and the fact that Haddonfield itself is just perpetually evil and takes over the people that might have a little something at the back of the brain that might want to just switch on.
Yeah.
And Haddonfield will do that to them. An interesting idea. So if you focus with just that, you make a better movie. If you focus with just the idea of Michael regaining strength, coming back and fighting Laurie one last time, a better movie. You try and do both, you become way too unfocused. You don't know where you are. You can't even switch your brain off and have fun because you're not in a slasher movie.
Yeah.
It's a disappointing movie.
Yes, and then kind of what happens to our character who's setting things in motion, and then just for them to kind of just be no longer there, and then it makes it feel a little bit pointless for them to even have been there, you know? It feels like
Absolutely.
it feels like the Sartain be only being there to get Michael to Laurie. So
Yeah.
again, like you're they're doing a lot of interesting things with Corey character, and then when he kind of is not there anymore, then it feels like his only purpose was to get Michael to Laurie again, just like Sartain, and then it feels kind of like, okay, this is the only reason this character was there, and it kind of takes away the interesting things that were happening with him.
I just think thematically it's interesting. It's strong. Story wise, it couldn't have been more bizarre and
Then
not
what
good bizarre.
yeah, and off of what you kind of were trying to of what was established in the first 2 films. It
Exactly.
was very much off of that. It
It would
was
actually
not.
even make more sense if this would have, or a story like this would have come if kills hadn't have happened at all. Because if you'd have just had Halloween 2018, Laurie, burns down her house, he's not there, they kind of go off. If you'd have had, say, Judy Greer was in this movie as well, because she hadn't died because kills didn't happen, and then a few years later, you have Michael. Where's Michael? We don't know where Michael is. Oh, he's been living in the sewers, and it's about the evil of Haddonfield.
And people have assumed that he burned in that fire. And then
Yeah,
he's like, but he didn't.
makes.
But just have him out running free. Everyone's fully aware he's out running free, and it's just cool. Move on with our lives,
I
you
just
know?
don't think. I just don't think it's a story wise a reasonable follow up to what we've just seen.
Yes. I
And
mean, on its own,
tonally
and
wise, it's
yeah.
completely just something different, which again, like I said, you don't hate that it's doing something different. You
It's
just
just
wish
based on the universe that you set up, it just doesn't fit.
no, you
And I
just wish
think
it would
that's
have
maybe
done
and maybe
something
that's
reasonable.
yes, and then maybe that's where they're kind of coming in with their season of the witch excuse. Well, no, because we're doing our own separate thing. It doesn't have to fit into these other 2 films, you
Well,
know?
exactly, but that's why I said before that it would actually make more sense if Michael wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
The movie would actually it would have it would have disappointed because you really do expect. I mean, you'd have seen in the trailers, obviously, but if the trailers hadn't have had him there, if the trailers had have been toned back, something different, and then it turns out that Michael wasn't in this movie, and it was actually just about Corey and his becoming the new
Descent into
embodiment
really
of
evil.
evil of Haddonfield.
Yes.
Way more interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, he's already kind of taken the place of the boogeyman to most of the people
He
in
has.
Haddonfield at this point. Um, so to kind of have him maybe just take over that moniker, but then it would have been a situation of people just being pissed about,
Yeah, I don't know. It's
you have a
it's
Halloween movie without Michael Myers, you can't do that,
it's
you
really
know?
weird. It's
So, I
really,
mean,
really weird.
I was entertained by it. I found myself watching it and being interested and really wondering where it was gonna go, and the kills were really cool, and I was just kind of intrigued of like, where is this going? I kind of really wanna know where this is going. Like, kills just was frustrating me the whole time I watched it the first time. Now I can kind of look back at it and just be like, "Oh, these people are so stupid," and laugh at it and have fun with it. Um This one, I found myself really just kind of enthralled in like what was going on. And yes, I did still have my kind of brain on like, oh my gosh, this doesn't make sense. But for the most part, I found myself entertained by it. But in terms of it as a kind of three films kind of in a connected universe, they were all completely different. They didn't really adhere to what the film before did. So again, like the final trilogy of the Star Wars universe,
Well, kinda, yeah.
it was very much that. The first film really got you excited, really connected well to the past films. Then the other two films just did whatever the hell they wanted and weren't really
Kinda.
like a strong through line at all. So
So it's accurate. That it's definitely
yes,
accurate.
but they all had kind of interesting things and set up really interesting things and had some good moments in there that you really enjoyed and had fun with. But execution as a whole, as a trilogy, as three films that are supposed to kind of be set in the same kind of vibe and energy and
Yeah,
universe, they were all kind of just like, no, who cares what happened before? We're just gonna do whatever
yeah.
we want to do.
And
So
look,
it wasn't a very clean continuation of the story.
no,
Um, Very kind of weird moments, weird character interactions.
very
Um,
weird. And look,
like
I mean, the
just
end of this movie, what actually happens at the end of this movie, yes, I think is a well-rounded end.
yes,
I think it is a well-rounded end. It kind of look, it's its own story, and I suppose the positive thing about the Halloween movies is that there's basically three different choose your own adventures you can go on with them.
yeah,
You can go on this one, you can go on the H2O one, or you can go on the Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Halloween 5 one.
yeah,
It's it's interesting like that. So you're never going to be mad really because everybody has their own one
yeah. It's
thing.
like choose your own adventure
It is.
with
If
Halloween,
you
which I love. I
And
love
if
that.
you ask
Like
me,
it,
I like the Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, Halloween. I like that one because I
I'm
really like
about
Halloween 4.
I'm about 1, 2, and H2O. That's like kind of
Okay,
my vibe.
and that's fair enough.
No
And if
resurrection.
people a-
Resurrection's not no.
and if people want, if people want this version of the story, you've got this version of the
Yes,
story.
it's
That's the interesting
definitely
thing.
Halloween has done a choose your own adventure type thing with their franchise, which I love. Um, I found I just know in watching this film, I was very kind of into it and entertained and wondering where it was going to go. But thinking about it as a whole with the three films, it was just all over the place, and a lot didn't work in terms of kind of thinking about what these other two films were trying to tell you about these characters at this point in their lives, and it just didn't kind of work there with the other two films. But if you kind of separate it and have it do its own thing, I think you're able to kind of get into it as a whole. So
Well,
as its own thing.
I think you've come out of this movie more positive than I have, but I came out of Kills more positive than you did.
Yes, yes.
So I think that's where we stand
Yeah.
on the Halloween on
Yeah.
Halloween Ends.
Yes, I enjoyed
Um,
it. Definitely could have done things better, could have had better execution on things, could have made things make more sense. But I mean, I was into it. I found myself enjoying it way more than I did Kills. So
well, there we go. There we go. I told you we'd go long
I
for
know.
our Halloween discussion. There's too much just nonsense to talk about with that, but let's get on.